be. In the shadowy world of post-war America, few stories are as chilling or as mysterious as that of Frederick J. Tenuto, a Philadelphia-born mafia hitman, a dangerous fugitive, and a ghost who outsmarted the FBI for decades. In 1947, Tenuto escaped from prison and vanished without a trace. No body, no clues, just whispers that the mob took care of him, or that he was still out there, living under a new name. This is the unbelievable true story of Frederick J. Tenuto, one of the FBI's earliest most wanted men, whose disappearance remains one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries. Frederick J. Tenuto wasn't your typical street thug. Born in the early 1900s, he grew up tough, the kind of guy who didn't just survive the Great Depression, thrived in its darkness. By the time Prohibition ended, Tenuto had already made a name for himself in Philadelphia's criminal underworld. He ran with mobsters linked to the Mickey Duffy gang, and later, with notorious killers tied to Murder Inc., the enforcement arm of the Mafia. He was the guy you called when you needed someone to disappear. Cold, efficient, loyal only to money and silence. By the mid-1940s, the FBI had linked him to multiple murders, including the high-profile killing of Philadelphia racketeer Willie Goosenberg, and possibly the St. Valentine's Day massacre crew. But even hitmen have bad luck, and in 1946, the law finally caught up with him. Tenuto was serving time in Holmesburg prison, one of Philadelphia's toughest jails, notorious for overcrowding, violence, and corruption. In February 1947, while guards were distracted during a routine cell check, Tenuto and another inmate pulled off something straight out of a Hollywood script. They cut through the bars using tools likely smuggled in by mob contacts. Then, under the cover of darkness, they scaled the outer wall, disappearing into the cold Pennsylvania night. Authorities were stunned. It was one of the most daring prison breaks in the state's history. And it got worse. Tenuto was a suspected contract killer, and now he was free again. Within days, the FBI launched a nationwide manhunt. Posters went up across the country. Frederick J. Tenuto, dangerous ARMED mafia hitman. The trail went cold almost immediately. Rumors flooded in. Some said Tenuto fled to New York City, blending in with the Italian neighborhoods of Brooklyn. Others claimed he made it to Chicago, working under an alias for the outfit. A few even believed he escaped to Cuba, protected by mob boss Santo Trafficante Jr., long before Fidel Castro closed the island to American gangsters. But the most chilling theory came from inside law enforcement itself. Agents believed Tenuto had been silenced by his own people, murdered to keep him from turning informant. One story claimed his body was buried under a South Philadelphia construction site, now paved over by highways and buildings. Another said he was shot in a mob safe house, his body dissolved in acid, a fate not uncommon for gangsters who knew too much. Still, there were occasional sightings. A man who looked just like Tenuto seen at a racetrack in Atlantic City, another in Miami Beach in the 1960s. But every lead nowhere. It was as if Frederick J. Tenuto had vanished into thin air. For decades, Tenuto's name remained on the FBI's most wanted list, even after most agents who chased him had retired. He became a myth, a cautionary tale told among lawmen and mobsters alike. Some said he died free, living quietly in Florida under a fake name. Others swore he was buried in an unmarked grave somewhere near Philadelphia. But one thing's for sure, Frederick J. Tenuto represents something uniquely American, the obsession with the outlaw who outsmarts the system. From Billy the Kid to D.B. Cooper, we've always been fascinated by those who slip through the cracks, ghosts of justice, reminders that sometimes the system doesn't win. Tenuto. As of today, Frederick J. Tenuto has never been found. No fingerprints, no witnesses, just a file marked unsolved. If you enjoyed this story of crime, mystery, and American history, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Do you think Frederick J. Tenuto died back in the 40s? Or is it possible he lived out his days as someone else, watching the world forget his name?